And if for some reason the coffers are low in your world, come anyway, because somebody else, the coffers are full, and it always balances out. So that's going to be this evening. Next week, we have our giveaway ceremony here for normal Sunday morning service. So if you've never been part of a giveaway ceremony, it's based off some of the Native American lessons and different cultural beliefs that it's always an our thing, it's an us thing, it's never a mine thing, it's never just a yours thing, and that the tables of abundance and scarcity are always turning, and that the moments of scarcity on your side may be moments of abundance on my side, and it's my time to give in those moments, because that table is turning, and as it turns and turns and turns, and those moments of scarcity come on my side, but abundance does on your side, and then you're giving, we collectively have always been abundant. We collectively have always been fed and nurtured and nourished in the ways that we need to sustain us on the planet. And that sometimes comes in our emotions too. So sometimes when I'm feeling great and wonderful, you're in a down mood and I can uplift you. And sometimes when I'm in a down mood, you're feeling great and wonderful and you can uplift me. It's the same table. It's the same abundance and scarcity. So in the giveaway ceremony, we're asking you to bring something that's important to you, something that means something to you, that you're going to pay forward in a good way. A talisman, a small object, you know, Keith's like, I was thinking about bringing a guitar. I'm like, that's a big thing. Something that means something to you that they can carry with them on their life, throughout their life, that may sting a little bit to let it go, but knowing that as you let it go, that it's going to be with that next person, and so will you. And so will they be with me and us as we receive those things that they shared. So we'll set up a little table and everybody will just put their thing on there, and we'll go over that next week. Then next week evening, or for diversity night on the 19th, is Becky's birthday party. We're gonna have like it's not really a surprise, I'm whispering. It's funny how that happens, you know. So yes, and so we're doing that for diversity night. She's turning 60, so we're just gonna have a low-key, you know, pod diversity night, cover dish type thing, you know, just wishing her happy birthday. Then next week on the 26th, and if you've got that keyed up, I'm going to get out of the way, we have the delight of having Keith Leon in the morning and for a concert in the evening. So he's going to do the service for us in the morning and then an evening concert, and I'm going to move.
I used to feel so empty, wasn't sure of anything at all. Thought I was disconnected, but I never even picked up the phone to call. God showed me who I am, and a brand new way to be. Ever since I heard the truth, it's so good to be me, 'cause it's a God thing. Every day of my life, it's a God thing. Every day of my life.
Let me tell you something about our brother Keith. He walks around here as one of us, and you may mistake him for just being the average guy, because he's such an average guy. In hanging out, he's so easy to go up to and talk to and be with, and he's so talented. It's like I really want to honor him by having a big turnout, because, you know, we had so much time to prepare for some of the other singers to create the momentum of the event, and this one we've only had a few weeks. So that's just one of the things he does. It's like we've sing a couple of songs that he's written, I am the light, I am the love, or I am the love, I am the light. That's one of the ones. It's a God thing. It's something that we've sang before, and I'd like to bring that back. So as Keith moves around the country, he's also a publisher and you know, Bake Your Book, and he's helped me. He's the one who printed the wisdom tree out there for me to help me start me, to get me moving forward, to get it into a tangible thing that I can morph into something else as we edit it and illustrate it and all that. That was a gift from him to me, just to get me going. And it's reminiscent of who he is in the world too. And him and Maura travel around. Right now he's in Texas, I think, speaking somewhere this morning. So spread the word on this one. It's always going to be a love offering type scenario for the concert. Again, like Bob's, 15 to 30 bucks suggested offering. And remember what we just said about the table that's turning. Sometimes someone else will put 40 bucks in because you can only do 10, or you had nothing. But you have more than nothing when you bring your energy to a concert. That's when if that seat was empty because you thought you didn't have 5 or 10 bucks, then the energy that was going to be in that seat rooting and hooting and singing and being in joy, it will be missed here. How do you know what you have to give? So come anyway, always. Support your brother, make him feel a gushy because he's just a little kid inside too. So support him, honor him, and treat yourself to a wonderful evening and a wonderful morning. It's double your pleasure day. So that'll be on the 26th, and the 26th happens to be Marthy's birthday. So yeah, come on out for that evening, and maybe we'll do some cake and stuff too. I know we'll have a group of people at least singing happy birthday to you, because how could you avoid that? So that'll be on the 26th. As we move into December, we're going to have our speed healing here on December 2nd. Becky's out of town this morning. She'll be here back again this evening, but she's the one to start hooking up with as far as what sessions you want. What sessions, there's going to be 3 blocks, morning, midday, and later afternoon. Pick one that you want, because the way we do this is the only way we can do a morning session is if all spots are taken. And the same thing for the evening. So every single billet has to be filled up before we even begin. And Becky makes the jokes about she's usually going frantic for 5 weeks out and realizes it's only the last 2 weeks where people start filling up anyway. Well, we're getting to that really, in 3 weeks it'll be that. So sign up with Becky. You'll see her this evening. If you're interested, you can tell me. I will pass the message if you're not going to be here this evening. And know that is going to be on December 2nd. On December 10th, we're going to be having our Christmas concert here. Both morning and night services will be just the concert. And we had our first meeting yesterday, right? No, Thursday. I missed a couple days. Do you want to talk about it a little bit? Come on up. Debbie, ladies and gentlemen, yay!
All right, we had a very good meeting. It was a planning meeting, just trying to figure out who was going to do things and what they were going to do, and I think we've pretty much got it nailed down. We have a lot of songs put together. I'm still interested in people who might want to talk or give a poem, a skit, anything else that they want to do. We do have room if somebody wants to do something special. You're going to be here running sound, so it's going to sound wonderful. Okay? And it is kind of a 20s theme, but don't let that deter you, okay? I've heard some people say something about, well, I'll have to go rent a costume. No, you don't. You don't have to do that at all. I mean, just look at Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries on PBS and see what they wear. You probably got a house dress or something somewhere that, kind of like something your grandma might have worn back then. So don't worry about it. And if you don't have something like that, no big deal. Just think Fringe. Think Fringe. Anyway, it's going to be a good one, and we're going to continue to meet Thursday nights. And I know sometimes people can't make it, and just let me know, and I will find time to work with you one-on-one. Okay?
Thank you. So all the fun that we're going to have and already having, picking the songs, and a very blurry moment. So let me think. I believe we're done with announcements. Anybody else got anything? Course of Miracles Wednesday nights. I missed this last one because I had a serious migraine, or not migraine, what do you call it, sinus headache, and I don't get them, so I was being a baby. I guess that's the truth of it, really. I get them so few and far between that it kicked my butt. So we do that on Wednesday evenings. It's, again, always a love offering thing. Tuesday night drumming, 2nd and 4th Tuesday of. So we're coming up on, this is only the first Tuesday? No, this is it. So they'll be drumming this.
Yes. Unless Fred decides
He's allowed to now. You know why? He's done this for so long. I have to clean my glasses, so I'm going to do that. He's done this for so long that he's allowed to do whatever he wants, and he'll give us notice. Usually, like, I mean, I only gave a few hours with the Course in Miracles. Nobody, flogged me or anything. But he does this all the time, and he's been doing it for years and years and years in our community. So it's a serious giveaway. It's just a giveaway. I mean, there may be a love offering type scenario, but it's not a moneymaker. It's not why he does it. It's not depending on that for his money. He's doing that for his other joy and for the joy of others, because he teaches as well, and he brings a certain kind of element to it that makes you feel wonderful about being discombobulated with a drum. And Armand does the same thing with flutes. It's like Armand says there's no mistakes in flute playing, there's only nuances. And it's kind of the same thing that Fred says. It's different words, but he's like, you just made a sound, you made a beat, and then your mistake with my mistake and their mistake is rhythm. So what do you know? So he gives you the ability to be free in it and let yourself play, and that's where you find your music. That's where you find your song. That's where you find you. Which leads perfectly into today's talk. So today's talk is titled, Finding Yourself. Will you like what you find when you get there? And I thought about all the different New Age things and all the different forms of enlightenment that people go through. And even outside metaphysics, everybody's always attaining that, that higher self, that higher yearning to find myself, And I'm always guiding people right into the mirror, and that's kind of like I already told you the bottom line at the beginning of the talk. Because that's really the answer, always. To find yourself is to go look inside a mirror or to go look inside someone else's eyes. It's like, for me and my little kid, the little kid in me that awoken to new thought, that awoken to self-awareness, that awoken to looking at himself, or as a concept of even finding himself, I began that journey with Margie. So when I look at Marge, it will take me back to places, and sometimes you can do that with certain friends. You have an experience with them of when we began that journey of finding ourselves, And I'll speak for only me, but I have a feeling that in Margie's wisdom too, and as we've come all this way, we'll realize we were right there the entire time. And all the workshops and wonderful seminars and all the different credentials we can put on our sleeve or on our wall or on my name, whatever you want to call it, are wonderful, and they may have helped me discover certain aspects of myself. But that finding myself, I was there the whole time, and it was more getting stuff out of the way to reveal that I'd just been standing there with a pile of gunk on me. But sometimes as people go on this journey, and it's like, and this is less about beating people up, of course, it's always a no flogging zone, and calling people out at the same time in a good way. Because it's real easy for us to practice these principles with each other in an environment like this, when we're singing gushy songs and we love each other, but what about Walmart? What about the traffic jam? Or what about Publix, when that person cuts in front of you or grabs the last item, and then you're so enlightened because you've done all these workshops, but then you look inside your mind and you realize you still had a judgment. You still were pissed. You still were like, well, I'm enlightened, so I'll be the bigger person. And that sentence right there proves that you missed the boat. Because in a genuine kindness, loving space, it would have manifested completely differently on all ends. You wouldn't have had that of separateness. If you looked at my little byline, or whatever you want to call the blurb for the talk, I say on that road to getting there, to finding ourselves, how many walks have we backed on? How many walks have we backed on? How many backs have we walked on and not even known it, and didn't realize it in our spirituality that we were walking right over somebody's belief systems or somebody's notions of how life was, because we've evolved and we've become this now, and you are just nothing because you still think that way. How can you even walk the planet with this naivete that you have of living and of the planet when I am so enlightened and so wonderful? I should tell you everything and you should follow. And all those thoughts are really leaving tread marks on people's backs and disallowing themselves to discover for themselves who they are. It's like if I go and dig up something under a rock and tell it it's unenlightened, and it says, excuse me, I live under rocks, what are you doing? Oh, whoops. And I thought I was the enlightened one? Well, I dug you from the darkness and I brought you into the light. Yes, I'm going to shrivel up and die because I live in the shade. What are you doing? Learn beyond who you think you are and finding yourself and putting your judgments and your projections on how somebody else should show up and living their enlightened life or their metaphysical life, and just allow yourself to be the you that you are, that was there the day Margie and I went to our first workshop, and I call it opened the can of worms. And for years and years there's been worms everywhere, and every once in a while you'll still see a worm crawling, sometimes on me, like, Mark still got worms. I know, take diatomaceous earth and that'll take care of that, but anyway, it's just knowing that along the way everybody's got that, and everybody's looking to be something. And it's like I did the talks about limelight here and about standing in the light, and about ever since we've been a little kid we've been doing that. Look at me, watch me, look at me, Dad, look at me, Mom, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. So I'm kind of thinking that even as we grow up, there's part of us that still wants people to look at us, that still wants people to notice us, that still wants people to see us, and that's okay, as long as when you're shining your light. It's like we talked about theater, and Philip's in theater, and he's in different aspects of theater. He's been behind the scenes, he's performed, he's in improv, and there's a certain thing that if him and I are going to agree to perform together, that we're going to have an agreement. And if I constantly upstage him, he's going to get pissed, man. He's going to want to play with different players that all have their equal time in the limelight. It's like, and that's where that, like, you lead each other into it. If it's an improv thing, the better I am, the more I'm going to make my brother shine. I used to use this example in Frisbee because I was very non-competitive person. A long time ago I had this automatic writing that came out of me and said, if fear were never present in the human condition, competition as it has shown up in our society would have never occurred. There would be more competitions of personal bestness, how high I can jump. I jumped even higher than my last time. Yes, you may be able to jump higher than me. Look at the dimensions of your humanality and your body and your physique. Why am I comparing myself to you? I've got compare myself to me, to be my personal best. Fourth agreement, and Don Miguel Ruiz, always do your best. So as all these things come together and I just get to be me, growing up, you get to be you, I'm going to compete in myself. So the better I am at Frisbee, or any kind of thing that takes two people, the better you are. Because if I get it right to you, and you catch it, and the crowd goes, those guys are great. And if you throw a wild throw and I run and I jump and I get it, they're going to go, those guys are great. No matter how you slice it, the better I am at my personal me-ness, the better we are together, because I bring that into the game and I never had to compete with you. What if I can do the run, jump, flip thing, but you can do the run, twist, catch behind the back thing, and I can never master with that one. I'm not even going to try. Why am I competing with you? My body doesn't work that way. But my body does this. Be yourself. Allow yourself to be who you are without having to walk on anybody's back of the notions of you think that they need to change to be able to hang out with you. Or because we're so enlightened now because we learned this thing. It doesn't matter what it is. I remember when I was in the Navy, and I was very young in the Navy, and I was on what they call the mess decks. It was about, movie call was about to begin. And this guy, another teenager in reality, because we were like 18, 19, 20 years old, walks in with this like gigantic thing on his back. And I like taking interest in people's things, and I am kind of like an excited person. I'm like, wow, what's that? And instead of just sharing with me what it was, he did the condescending, you're a moron thing. Now, he was an engineman, and I was a boatswain's mate. I had no idea when it comes to engine parts. And everything is expanded like times 1,000 when it comes to a car engine that I've tinkered with. to a ship engine. It was a motor mount. He's like, it's a motor mount, you moron. So I said, tu kakri bazuna yatuzang. And he looks at me, and I didn't really say anything bad, but it was Italian. I don't even know if I knew the translation in the moment. But I'm like, do you understand what I said? He's like, no. I'm like, why? Is it because you're a moron or because you just simply don't know Italian? He's like, oh, sorry, man. It's like, we all know things that we know. It doesn't mean the other guy's an idiot or the other gal is an idiot because you know something different than them. Because you went to this seminar, or because you went to this training program, or because you learned Spanish. It doesn't matter. It's like every single person shows up with a uniqueness. Every single person shows up here with their own vocal print, with their own fingerprint, with their own retinal print that makes you unique to walk and navigate the planet. And collectively, we're together and we're one. So for me to tread your back is only to tread my own. For me to ever disparage you in any way for not achieving, for not getting it yet, oh, they're so naive, we're so slow. Ram Dass, I love him, because he makes everything so gentle. It's like those times when we think we're just all that, and he's like, you know, he makes the joke of like he's talking to the universe, and how could I have been stuck down here with all these hooligans when I'm so special? And I'm so perfect. And I may have misquoted it, but that's the jest and the energy of it. And be honest with your real selves. As honest as you can. You don't even have to raise your hand. I don't care. This is between you and you. How many times have we had those thoughts in our life? Like, how can I be stuck down here with all these fill in the blanks? You may have had a different word in the moment. Maybe colorful, maybe gentle, may have been really all the exclamation points and that stuff on the top of the typewriter. And to just own that in your silliness, because really what that bottom line down to, all the way down is, I'm afraid to be me. And I still honor vision quests, and I honor different kinds of journeying within. And you know, if you want to go, well, like you've been to India, there's people here that have been abroad to all different kinds of places for what you may want to call a pilgrimage or a seeking, some just to visit and have a vacation. But there's been people all over the place that have walked a walk to somewhere to find something within them. And I'm like, that's groovy, you can do that. But if you never had the wherewithal or the finances to go journey elsewhere, that journey is always within. That's my point. It's like, still go do those things, man. An ashram would be wonderful. I would love to see the Taj Mahal. I would love to see the pyramid and pray inside of it. All those things are cool. What if I never get to leave Florida ever again? Oh, there's your enlightenment is done. No chance for you to move on. You're stuck in Florida. It's like, that will limit me in my belief system. That will limit me in anything that I get to do for the rest of my life. That limits me in meeting the rest of me. Sometimes when I'm talking about the selves, it's just an energetic it's really just a personification of energy. It's more to break it down for us. It's like, of course, it's just me here, and because anytime I have a different thought, if you can personify that as a different self. So what if you're like, oh, I offended Mark? Maybe you didn't. Maybe you just offended one single little fraction of an aspect of me. You felt that energy in the moment, but to the rest of the crew are fine. Well, we don't care. It's his issue. He's got a bald issue and they made a bald joke, whatever. None of us have an issue with it. It's energetically understanding that even sometimes when you're going through something that you recognize as I found myself, don't hold that as your whole self, as like, this is who I am all the time, and you lock yourself in a prison of it. That's like the emotional body part of it. It's emotion, it flows. So do thoughts, so do notions, so does that energy within yourself. So when you're going to look in to find yourself, at any given moment, all you're going to find is what you're present with energetically in that very precious moment. There's some people who have said, if I tell you who I am, all I've ever really done is told you who I've been. That to really know who I am, you're going to have to hang out with me in a moment, because that's when it happens. You know, because what if I become something different? What if that last worm finally squiggled away and a new freedom came upon me, and then you saw Mark or Bob or Sally or Joe shine in a different way than you've ever seen them before? Because one, they knew that this precious moment is the only them they could ever be. And if I'm going to really search for myself, then the only place to look is right here, right now, right here, right here. If I'm with someone, wow, what a blessing. Bonus, it's like 2-for-1 special. We get to both find each other at the same time, in each other, in God, Goddess, Mother, Father, God. I call it now electrons and electronettes, whatever you want to call it. It's energy. But to know that I recognize that, and then if I felt lost, I can just come back into it, and then I didn't need to look. See, when I look at Margie in her eyes, when I stay there, before the Mushada part happens, I don't see credentials. I don't see how many workshops she's done. I forget all about the business things that I know she knows. She taught me at other places, but that's not what I see. I see me. I see love. I see us. I see sharing. I see our little kids. I see that energy of it, or innocence, or essence, or beauty. That's where I find myself. And I didn't have to walk on anybody's back to get there. I didn't have to show you how wonderful I was in my ego to be worthy enough for you to hang with me. I just showed you who I was in the moment. And sometimes it's neurotic. I told Bob, Sama, and Shannon when they were here the other day, because they were setting up, and I love watching people's neurotic energy. It's fun. And I told them I came up with a new phrase, because all artists are eccentric, and we all have our own little bit of neuroses. So I said it's just called new-centric. And just join that. You have your neuroses and your eccentricities. So you're new-centric, and it's okay. Ram Dass, again, talks about all those neuroses that live within us or without us and that we've experienced in our lives, and you think that they're all going to go away at some point. It's like, no, they don't completely go away. You may not be visiting and hanging out with them all the time, but from time to time they're going to stop by and visit, and your job is to just invite them in to have tea. And that's how, sit down, have tea. How you been? Oh, well, we're still paranoid. Cool. And what their discoveries may have been all along the way. You know, I've been paranoid my whole life because I always thought the boogeyman was coming, and I realized I'm the boogeyman. Good for you, Mr. Paranoid. Right on. So now I just watch the door. And that's the job I gave him, because he's still kind of paranoid. It's his job, and it's okay. We keep wanting to change. It's like back to the beginning of the story when I said we started this workshops and we opened our worms. And some people, I believe, as they're going to what they call, like Ram Dass even has his joke about that. When people go, oh, I'm getting enlightened. And he goes, good, see you later. Because they're doing it as it's like a bucket list thing. Get enlightened, achieve nirvana. From that perspective, it's an unattainable goal, because just by writing that sentence, you set yourself, it's like, that's coyote. That's the Lupa coyote. But it's that, back to that sentence where we opened a can of worms. And I've watched many, many people in different workshops, because I've done a lot and I've led a lot. We've also co-led, so we got to see the dynamics of people processing. And there's two kind of processors, there's two kind of people. There's ones that run towards themselves, and there's ones that run away from themselves. And that's the part I'm talking about, is that when we're trying to discover these things within us, when we find something that is maybe got a pimple on it, we tend to want to run from it. Oh, I don't like that. Let's go look for something else part of ourselves. I know there's got to be something wonderful in there. And it's like this box, and we're throwing out all the stuff looking for that gem, and you just threw away the best parts of yourself because you thought they were not gems, because that one had a blemish, that one had a tear, that one had a scar. Oh, that was from a 6 years old. Let's throw that away. And I'm like, that's who you are. Every experience that you've ever had, everything that you've ever done and felt and seen is why you chose to come to the planet. What are you throwing it away for? What are you trying to find something else in there that's better than it, and just bring it with you and heal it along the way. Let the tears fall out of your eyes. It's interesting how whatever you want to call creator created this human condition that plopped eyeballs inside of us that had these like whole duct system and everything just to lubricate our eyeballs. And when we have emotion, they start flooding. No dust got in my eyes. I didn't need any extra lubrication for my eyeballs to see in that moment. Must have another function. It must only be logical then that I allow this mechanism to work. Have you ever woken up in the morning and said, I will not allow my hand to work today at all? I refuse to let my hands work. No. But we do that when it comes to letting this mechanism just clean out the system and let it discover that that is me. I am a hurt child too. It did happen. Those things happened. It hurt. It felt it. I experienced it. It's part of my makeup. And I healed and I let it go. Well, you can't come with us because you were hurt. We're going to all enjoy the rest of our lives, but you must stay here in time. Think about saying that to a little kid that just fell down and got a boo-boo, and he said, well, now you can't come and play with us because you have a boo-boo. Now, there's times we've been hurt so much that we had to sit back and watch for a minute because the boo-boo was so big, maybe put a cast on our leg, and we had to sit in a wheelchair. But those are the times in life where sometimes the rest of the team changes the game so you can play too. And allows themselves to play football or soccer also while you watch. Well, we're still going to play for a little bit, but then we're going to come back and play a game with you too, so that nobody gets left behind. It's like, you know, the profundity of Disney and Lilo and Stitch. Ohana means family, and family means no one gets left behind. No one gets left behind. And it's like that simple little sentence to have in your heart. That means no one gets left behind. So that means even if I'm on my path, and it doesn't matter what guise it's under, you know, it could be the joy explosion place on my way here. It could be Baptist, Catholic, Protestant, Hindu, Buddha. It doesn't matter what flavor you show up. It's back to what we were talking about last week of that loving kindness part. So if I really want to find myself and I think that I'm not in any of those people, I got to stop again, because I'm in every one of those people, and they all may be so different than me. Like we were talking about last week, 7.5 billion people on the planet. I'm 54, haven't met all of them, but I have never met a human being that agrees with me 100% or thinks like me 100%. No one ever has thought like me 100%. We have this like-mindedness that attracts us. Those different cliches of birds of a feather flock together, that we find that parts of ourselves that do have that common bond or commonality, that individual experience of it is happening in you, and it's not better or worse than mine. I say Margie and I because we've played this for so long. So Margie and I are hanging out in bliss, and she says, yes, but my bliss is better. Why? Because I did these other things. It's like, well, that doesn't make sense. But then when I look in her eyes, and she looks in my eyes, and she gets off the list, or I get off my list, it's bliss. We don't have to compete anymore. We just realized we were both in bliss. Maybe I'm explaining it incorrectly. I think sometimes people think that they need to have more and more pieces of paper to tell them that they're on the right track of enlightenment. Here's another workshop you did. You get it. You win. You have it. Or I just read this book. Now I'm there. And I'm like, yes, those are cool tools to get us inside and to have us awaken to different notions. But all I have to do is look at her. All I have to do is look in Christina's eyes. and just stay there with her and look in Jennifer and look in Lydia's eyes and just be there and let all the words disappear. And I promise you, I swear to God, I promise you, you will find yourself. All the words will drift away. I won't have to compete with anything. I won't have to worry about if she went to more workshops than me, or if I went to more than her and she might feel less. All of that will go away. All the credentials, all the labels, take them all away. Strip yourself naked and look in someone's eyes. And I promise, I swear to you, if I die today, that's what would happen, is you would find you. And that all these other things that we've been searching for are just different ways for us to learn how to navigate through our own crap. And that if it all went away, and if me and Scott never did another workshop, Margie never did another workshop, none of us ever went to another seminar because they were banned, and we had to, like our speakeasy Christmas, had to be quiet about it. I would only have to look in your eyes, and you would only have to look in mine, and all would be okay. We would feel it, we would know it, we would never have to speak another word of uplifting someone and you'll be okay. You won't have to do it, and our words get in the way. And that's really what this is about, is how much of our words get in the way, and all these credentials, even though I'm going to be doing them more to help people, and that's beyond the point of what I'm talking about. It's to use it as a label of, now I'm okay enough to be enlightened. It's like, no, I don't care if you ever go to anything at all in your life. If you can stand there and sit there with somebody and look them in the eyes and be raw and be real with it and let the stuff just fall away from you, you will find you. It could be in Coco. It can be in India. You could be in a tent with somebody pouring cold water on hot rocks. Or it can be in your pickup truck driving down I-95 when that person cuts you off and you're just about to yell, and you finally get it, and you surrender, and you show up with no armor and no weapons, and realize that it's been you cutting you off the whole time. And then all of a sudden traffic opens up in front of you. You smile, your forehead is more serene. You look in the rear view mirror and you see a twinkle in your eyes, and you're like, there I am. I've been here the whole time, and I was on my way to a workshop to look for myself. And all I did is have to remember, and to get it all out of the way. And now go to that same workshop, already knowing who you are, already knowing that you were right there the whole time, and bring that, and now have that experience, and then share that wisdom with the other people around you. And wow, it's going to be an awesome weekend or 5-day or whatever you're signed up for. Because again, I am never saying don't go to these things. Go experience all of it. You came to the planet to experience all of it. But for some reason, I think a lot of humans thought they were gone while they went to experience. Well, maybe I put myself in Africa. That's where I'll look. In Egypt, I'll go. Maybe I'm at that bottom level of the pyramid that they just found. Oh, no, one there. People find themselves in the strangest places too when they do have those epiphanies. You ever had an epiphany on the toilet? So if you were to do like your TED Talk, this is you on your TED Talk. I found myself one day on the toilet. Because a lot of people find themselves there. You'll have those aha moments, and then you'll let it go. So with that moment, I'll just leave you with that and say, and so it is.